Well, this is a second installment in the End series. I did wish to do this more coherently and to have things planned out a little better, but life circumstances just aren't going to let that happen right now. Hopefully, eventually, I'll have more information over there, and some kind of blueprint of where I'm going with this and where I hope others will, take the ball. Um, I wanted to focus this time on more of a the social context, not so much the technology issue itself, but just the idea of where or how humanity would live in a future that we could design as individuals or collectively as a society, and what that better world would look like. I mean, realistically, as atheists, we have the power to rebuild creation in a better image. Nature's not a great image. Um, Nature's not a great designer. So we can do better than that. And there's just these certain, I mean, realistically, from our perception, you know, whereas it's just so limited. I mean, theoretically, if there was a God or there was an intelligence greater than our own, maybe it would be capable of dreams that were as complicated as our reality. Dreams where there was more than one individual, and it was, this whole interaction we're having could theoretically be just a better brain's dream, or nightmare, as the case may be. So anyway, I'm just leading into this is that in thinking about the subject myself, and I'm just thinking through the evolution of how I had, like most people, even though I was an atheist, I had social conditioning. And I can remember seeing the movie Soylent Green when I was a kid, and I saw it as it was meant. The message I got was the message they intended, was, oh, how horrible, the potato chips are people. And thinking it now over time, I'm wondering, where's the logical crime? What's the fear in simply recycling an obviously useful resource? Theoretically, I mean, the food you eat is got molecules in it that could have been molecules on a Tyrannosaurus's ass. So I mean, what we're eating already has already been part of something else. I mean, it's no doubt about that. And the fact is that as long as it's not recognizable, theoretically, as atheists, we shouldn't have any objection. So that's just part of what I'm trying to get to, in the sense that there's a whole world of imagination that we can release if we get rid of these traditional notions of right and wrong. And then, so if I was going to recreate rebuild a future, create a future, or even create a present, there's certain issues. I mean, one of the obvious ones would be euthanasia. I mean, why torment people? And that's an issue that also comes up in Soylent Green, where the professor, he decides it's time to go. He's had enough, and he goes off to this recycling center. And it's basically a beautiful thing, in the sense that they HD TV him a beautiful image of the world as it used to be, and play lovely music, and he is able to gracefully slide into the abyss, thinking the best of his life and the world, rather than the worst. And instead of being in pain and dying miserably, he's gracefully moves on, so to speak. And so who could find it horrifying? What is horrifying in that? And the only people that find it horrifying are the Christians, who have created a taboo against it and don't want anybody else to have a right they can't use. And so they put Kevorkian in jail for 8 years or whatever it was, and that's the game we play. But it is a stupid game, and I know that's a complex issue, and I don't want to get lost in some stupid religious battle about that. I'm just saying, as atheists, we're allowed to go there. We're allowed to consider that. And so, taking this another step further, I mean, we can use our imaginations, we can think about different worlds, and in terms of what people live for and purpose and all that stuff. I mean, life is an adventure. I mean, we have a hunger that's built into us. From the day we are born, we are in need. And the rest of our lives, we just keep trying to fill those holes that nature drilled into us. That's how I put it. And that's the constant battle. That's what keeps us here, is the hope that we're going to find some paste to shove in that other hole and something else to shove in that one. And we're just going to somehow repair ourselves, of this leaking that's going on all the time, where we're in need. And but ideally, I mean, some people don't have elaborate or imaginative dreams when they sleep, but I'm one of the people that do. And when I think about my dream life, it's been so much better than my real life. And you go places, you have these adventures, and some of them are really unpleasant. I mean, I've died 4,000 times. I mean, I've been run over by trains. I've had my head cut off. I mean, all kinds of crap goes on. But it is a spectacular adventure. And the fact that there is no real horrific pain in a dream, I mean, there's fear. I mean, your mind can get to you fear-wise, and it can create some symptoms of, it can make you can feel sick and you can feel different things, but it really can't recreate horrific pain in a dream. So things happen to you, but they really don't hurt that bad, which is nice, at least in my experience. Like I said, they can be very frightening, though. So it can create a fear that's more intense than you even experience in real life. But anyway, the idea is that I'm thinking in a future could be built. I mean, if there's been science fiction movies where there's a brain in a beaker, and that's where it's living. Even Star Trek episodes like that. And I don't find anything objectionable about that. I wouldn't mind living an artificial life if perceptually I can't distinguish it from a real one. I mean, what is lost? I mean, a virtual reality is a good enough a reality if you don't see the virtual part. And so I'm just throwing this into the mix as these are choices we make. I mean, we can sit there and obsess about this real world, living in this real context, living with nature. I mean, I'm a person that appreciates nature, but I also understand that it's crude forces. It's not the best world. It's not the ideal design. It's what's been handed to us by forces that have no intelligence. And there's nothing. It would be stupid for us to sit there and romantically remain attached to that design and think there's no other alternative way of living. And so I know this just sounds really silly and bizarre, but I'm just saying, the idea of a world where human beings are in suspended animation and experience a consciousness and a life that is not physically apparent doesn't offend me. And it would solve a lot of problems in terms of we could live very elaborate and intricate lives, nice adventures. I mean, it's like the movie The Matrix. What was the horrible crime? It is sort of like, why do you want reality? And it was the whole idea that when the computers created a perfect world for mankind to live in, he rejected it. Even that notion is just so silly. Why would human beings reject perfection? Why would we, get real? Okay, we would enjoy a better life, a perfect life. I mean, it would be really fun to have adventures where you have to work a little bit for something, but you don't have to, break your friggin' back for something. And that you could actually attain what you were trying to seek. You could actually win the lottery, and you could actually have all these interesting adventures. And, why not? That would be so much superior to living this real life where you get, 5 minutes of good here and there, and the rest is either, mediocrity or horror. So I mean, that's the real equation here, is that what makes life valuable, what makes it worth living. And to me, it is the adventure, and we can create part of this, at least part of that. We can satisfy part of our need in fantasy, in virtual reality, in some other context besides this mundane world where we're just rats chasing cheese. And it'd be nice for us to think that we'll take the human mind somewhere better than that. and we could virtually, live in a virtual state and still be scientists, and we could still be making discoveries, and we could still be doing things that were significant and important. But we could also be living a more comfortable life without the burden of enslaving half our population to some other half of the population. That's part of the crime here. So it looks like I'm over my 10 minutes.